Welcome back to Epic Mickey, Dutch Angles Edition. As if the camera wasn't hard enough to use, everything's been replaced with a Dutch angle.
I mean, you were kind of hopping out in an alleyway. It would be a little bit difficult to do the usual, 45-degree angle.
Epic superhero landing.
And this is right where the that free power spark is. I actually, if I remember correctly, there's a trick for this cutscene coming up, doing a very specific jump around the cutscene trigger.
And what does the jump do? Does it allow you to keep moving while the dialogue's going on?
No, it just skips the cutscene altogether.
That works too.
But it also means that we don't get this piece. This is the final piece of animatronic Donald, which you get for free if you help the ghosts.
So what's Donald missing in terms of his gear, like his circuitry and such?
Well, you'll see. I mean, you saw earlier that he was missing one of his eyes. We can't help him out with that, but we did get all of his limbs.
Yeah, I guess, it's the effort that counts.
I mean, when he's blind angry all the time, I don't think he needs to worry about peripheral vision.
That's the one part we're missing is a short story by Harlan Ellison.
I have no bill and I must quack. Anyway, let's get Donald his body back. For no particular reason, I'm reminded that the Five Nights at Freddy's movie came out recently. I heard it was just okay.
It's not bad.
I understand that it's something where you do kind of have to understand the lore in order to really appreciate it, which is probably a sign that you failed as a filmmaker.
Now, all the way back in video 5, I think, there was a brief cutscene where we actually saw Donald's tugboat the first time we visited Oztown. And that is basically what we're doing in this video. We're doing cleanup. The last few bits. Oh, sorry about that. The last few bits of side quest cleanup before the actual end game starts.
So, in addition to thinning people, you can also bounce off their heads?
Yep.
Outstanding.
You know, say what you will about Mickey. He's always willing to help out small businesses in need.
But was Donald just juggling? Yes, he's juggling his head and his hat.
And his cap.
Oh my
Let's not
God.
forget his cap.
I guess that's one advantage of being, not amongst the living.
Also, the fact that, this is a duck with a rather notorious temper, which means that, he can deal with pain far more easily as an animatronic.
So this is fixing the bridges, huh?
Yeah. That was a side quest that I think it was Metairie who gave us that side quest.
Right, but there's still these giant gaps here. Is that intentional?
Well, I mean, I never said Bog Easy was an easy place to get around. Although it does mean that no one else has to double jump when they're trying to get around town.
Still, though, if you got bad knees, you're just out of luck, I guess.
Bog Easy is not wheelchair accessible. We just need to settle on that right now.
Definitely not. They couldn't fit... Oswald's Wasteland Imagineers couldn't fit all of the wheelchair ramps into the theming, so they just said, fuck it, we're not going to do anything.
So, restoring the bell. I'm assuming it's not just something where you can just, paint it back or something?
No. There are two pieces of the bell. I'll talk about that later, because the radio has some extra dialogue.
Oh, sure. Blame everything on ghosts.
I like that line a lot.
This just in, he's standing here, menacingly.
Case closed, I guess.
Wouldn't that be an interesting report? Just kind of like, latest news, Mickey is standing over me with a large knife. Oh no.
Oh, this just in. Actually, I thought it was a knife. Turns out he's holding a paintbrush. And he's, what is that? That's paint thinner?
Oh no, this is much worse.
Aha. Huh? Oh.
So this side quest is really weird. It has its own special cutscenes. It feels like it was going to be part of the main quest at some point. We'll see the whole quest in this video. It's very strange.
I do like the thing there is like, do you even need an excuse in order to annoy Donald?
No.
I mean, he has had multiple games where sending Donald into a flying rage makes him invincible, like it's a Wario Land game or something.
I mean, there is also the time where he had the ability to, I think it was like he could turn into a ninja.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
I
at some point.
remember that game. I know the one you're talking about.
I wish I could remember what it's called. But I'm trying to, like, my mind is telling me it's like Quack Shot or something.
That's the one. That was the Genesis one, right?
Yeah, the only one I have any real experience with is is Donald Duck going quackers, which I've talked about before, I think. Yeah, that was on GameCube, N64, and Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, the one I'm thinking about, I think like Donald Duck has a gun that shoots like bugs or something.
We can't say that the Disney games weren't at least a little weird.
Very. So, Gilda actually has multiple races. She has one for every major hub world. However, so we mentioned the Voodoo Doll side quest, and there's a weird overlap. Because I'd actually forgotten all about this particular glitch that we're about to see in a couple of minutes here, but there is an overlap if you do the Voodoo quest first, and then start Gilda's race in between. There is some overlap between the two quests. Although, thanks to another quirk in programming, it's actually not as bad as it sounds.
I was worried that you're going to be like running across a quest trigger while trying to do the race or something.
Well, that does happen. However, mercifully, the timer pauses during this cutscene.
I did not expect that.
Yo, that rabbit needs a bath.
The one rabbit that was left behind while the rest went to the moon.
Exactly. He's gone feral.
Wow, great job, Mickey. Now, please, put some paint on me. I would rather have a functioning body again.
Was she always like that?
Nope, that's actually a repeat of the glitch I showed off in the very first Gilda race, which is when if you mash the Z button during that cutscene, you can thin her out.
Alright, so, whereabouts are we going to have to go in order to actually handle the doll situation?
Well, the doll is actually on this map. The cutscene that we saw earlier that interrupted the race is supposed to show you that it's a particular spatter who you have to deal with, and then the spatter will drop the voodoo doll for you. But because I'm stupid, I didn't realize that was because the camera, again, both because I'm dumb, but also the camera doesn't really point you towards the right way. I wonder how long Donald and Daisy were dating or otherwise seeing each other before Daisy brought up the fact that Donald might have a temper.
Oh, I'm sure she mentioned it. Probably just Donald was too dense to notice.
Yeah. It's like she dropped such subtle hints as, please stop knocking over all the wine glasses at this fancy restaurant that, cost a week's salary for me to set up.
It's the sort of thing you'd think would come up at couples counseling, but apparently never did.
Well, the thing is that couples counseling isn't covered by their work insurance, because then Disney would have to admit that they were a couple and were also having sex, and that would go against the brand that Disney's trying to set up. Anyway, here's the spatter.
Yeah, here he is.
Yeah. The only major Disney character who's allowed to have sex is Goofy, and only so that he can mourn over his dead son, Max.
Wait, Max is dead?
God! To Disney he is, yes.
I don't know if he's actually dead. That's just a running joke from Future Friends Kingdom Hearts LPs.
Max would have been the perfect character to show up in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Even as like a summon. I mean, Huey, Dewey, and Louie show up as shopkeepers in the original Kingdom Hearts. And even funnier, they never Donald never otherwise acknowledges them at all, aside from one line of dialogue.
I think that if you go to the shop, like, they do actually say something like, hey, Uncle Donald, can you get this guy to buy something?
Yeah, but Donald never talks to his nephews. It's entirely a one-sided conversation. Anyway, I'm not sure why I included this part, but this is just me recollecting the film reels that I had picked up earlier, but then it canceled it out because I died.
Well, I guess this is just a big ol' sequence for, finding all the stuff. Like, as you said, like, this is cleanup.
Yeah. You should all be very thankful that I've cut out the numerous backtracking you have to do through each and every projector screen every time you want to move through one area to another.
Back to Mickey Junk Mountain.
Yep, so going to Mickey Junk Mountain via Oztown is what officially starts the end game. So you want to take care of any business that you feel is necessary before this point. There's actually a second point of no return a bit later on, which is even more blatantly telegraphed, but that's a video or two from now.
Oh, yeah. Like, I sort of get into a habit with these kinds of games of doing basically everything except actually going on the main path. They try to trick you sometimes, Like, sometimes in games with branching paths, you don't know which one is going to hide some optional content and which one's going to lock you into, like, a 2-hour cutscene. Sometimes, yeah, it's just as simple as just running down a corridor, a very nondescript corridor, and then suddenly, whoops, you're stuck in cutscene land.
Well, that was quick. We already got the 30 power sparks for Marcus.
Hooked into the fire station for some reason?
Now, for those of you who know your Disneyland history, that might set off an alarm bell. Perhaps one that the fire station would pick up and then send trucks over.
Alright, but for folks who don't understand Disneyland history, what is the significance of the fire station?
We're about to find out. But first, again, we're going to buy the other piece of the bell. That is very predatory of these shopkeepers, to just immediately put the bells up for sale. You really should, like, go over to Bertrand and give him the stuff for free. Anyway, we thin out the entrance here, and
Oh.
now for those who may not know, this is based on Walt Disney's real apartment above the fire station in Main Street, USA in Disneyland.
Now, why is it that he chose to live above the fire station, though?
I'm sure there's some significance regarding, his hometown of Marston, Missouri, but it might have been just out of convenience as well. And over here is a piece of concept art. Well, that's not entirely true. It's actually a drawing that Walt Disney himself made in 1935. It was part of a letter to Carl Lumley, who was at the time, he was the head of Universal Pictures, who of course had the rights to Oswald. But that was a way of, communicating in a friendly way from between the current owner of his intellectual property.
Is it true the Mad Doctor is gone for good?
I don't know. I mean, he did the Team Rocket blast off, but who knows where he really went?
Hey, dog.
So, what's next on the agenda?
Well, there are still a couple of other things. There's another bunny roundup side quest we have to do, as well as there's actually something relating to animatronic Daisy.
Oh, groovy.
Yeah, as well as there's at least one other side quest with Horace Horsecollar as well.
I actually kind of wonder, like now that we fixed animatronic Donald, I figured there probably would be something involving animatronic Daisy.
Well, we already fixed animatronic Daisy. That was in Adventureland.
Sure, but now we need to, get the two of them together to have... Yeah.
I see where you're going there.
Too bad Goofy recommended a trial separation.
I do think it's great to see that Goofy is picking up a side hustle as a marriage counselor. Good for him. Because, janitorial work at Oztown can only pay for so much. Now, I'm trying to remember, I think there are 36 in total film reels. However, you can only get 34 on a single playthrough, because there are two separate levels. One of the clock cleaners levels right at the beginning of World of Gremlins, and one later in the game, where you have to choose between two different projector levels.
I see. So that's their way of saying, like, you want 100% completion, you're going to have to do the whole thing twice, at least. Though, as you mentioned, it actually takes...
It takes 3 playthroughs, yeah. Just for context, the speedrun record when I had it was around 2 hours and 45 minutes. It has since been reduced considerably through new techniques, down to about an hour and a half. There was a lot of glitch hunting.
Wow, we just flattened a child.
Yep. It's a wonder why Mickey isn't invited to more of Oswald's family barbecues. It's a total mystery. He seems like such a great uncle.
Wow, look at how much fun they're having.
Just trying to think. Yeah, so it's down to about 90 minutes for any percent. Max percent, which is a category to get every collectible you possibly can in a single playthrough, is about 5 hours. But a true 100% for all three playthroughs, getting everything, is about 9 hours.
Yay.
Look at those guys bobbing along.
And we don't need to see all of this, but I will admit this does look very funny when fast-forwarded.
I do loves me the vacuum cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll say a slight correction regarding the Bunny Children side quest in Epic Mickey 2, which we won't be seeing in the preview that I'll show off, but it's actually a choice between either bringing the bunnies home to Hortensia, or if you remember Polly, the ice cream shop owner,
Who could forget?
he wants to kidnap the children and feed them ice cream for the rest of eternity. So that's the bad choice.
That doesn't sound like a bad deal.
You know what would make this easier, actually?
Have you ever had to deal with 400 children that have freezer burn headache all at the same time? It's not fun.
Nope. But I was about to say, yeah, I've been playing the Ape Escape games again recently, and I can't help but be reminded of that.
A little bit,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the chasing down. Now, while I've played Ape Escape 3, but not for very long, though I do have some memory of the Ape Escape minigame crossover for Metal Gear Solid 3. That was pretty
yes.
fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely forgot I did this. This is like the most friendly NPCs that I've ever seen grouped around here in Mean Street. So,
And you, well, mildly inconvenienced them.
yeah. Think of it as like a performance art piece, I suppose. See, it's a commentary on the mundane grind of daily capitalism.
Sure.
I'm sure that's the defense that Mickey will use in court, which he might get a lighter sentence given that he is friends with both the sheriff and the king.
I'll do it again. Yuck.
You think that Mickey might be gathering an undue amount of power? Like, as he said, like he's sort of ingratiating himself to everybody in town.
Well, in our version of Mickey that we've been playing, it seems like he has been, he has considered the taste of such power, but ultimately, with some persuasion, perhaps he will do the right thing. As to whether Oswald can be convinced to go down that path, well, that is yet to be seen.
The fact that we're saying that as he's knocking a child off of a roof is just amazing.
Yeah, given your relative paint and thinner supplies, Mickey seems to be more of an ambiguous character at this point in time.
He is neutral leading renegade. Well, aside from that one bunny roundup quest that we missed earlier because I forgot about it, we're pretty much caught up.
I don't know. It looks like you could have room for another bunny roundup. Like, there is one more cell.
Yep, that's the cell we missed.
Oh.
Now,
I see.
Unfortunately, remember we did not get the Colonel Pete film reel. There is no mutually exclusive reward for failing this quest. You get nothing.
Yeah, well, it's Pete. I don't care about disappointing him.
Now, Pete is one of the people that we could give the voodoo doll to. And, we failed that quest earlier. Maybe we should give it to him, to get back in his good books. We could have also given the doll to Daisy and I forget. I think there's a third character that we could have, which slightly changes some of the dialogue after the quest is complete.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can't visualize Pete necessarily using a voodoo doll for good, is what I'm saying.
No. No, not at all. We already know where he is.
Yeah, that is something that's part of the bugged. I wouldn't call it a side quest so much as it is like a partial mechanic, where. Okay, how do I explain this? So, Daisy claims that she and Donald are, connected in some way by electricity, and the way that you're supposed to do this quest before going to Bog Easy is that you would throw down a TV sketch, and Daisy would walk over to it and electrocute herself on it. And after that, she would give you one of the locations of where the various pieces of animatronic Donald are in the Lonesome Manor.
Okay.
The thing is, I've never actually gotten it to work as I described it. Every time I throw down the TV sketch, and she shocks herself, but then doesn't say anything.
Well, I figure maybe we shouldn't be supporting self-harm anyhow.
Well, the thing, I do know it works, generally. I've seen it on YouTube. I know other people who have... Again, this is what she's talking about. This is supposed to work, but I've never gotten it to work beyond just the electrocution phase.
Bzzer.
And it's not just that we're doing this after Bog Easy. Like, I've tried to do this before we helped Donald, and it just, I don't know.
What the heck?
Yeah, I feel a little bit disappointed, but
I mean,
also...
it makes more sense that it doesn't work after helping Donald, but then that event shouldn't trigger at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple more things to do around here, including our last piece. Oh, by the way, this NPC only shows up after you help the pipe organ. Her name is Constance. Now, I have no evidence at all to suggest that this may be Constance Hatchaway in disguise, but it can't be disproven either.
I mean, she just kind of looks like all the other generic townsfolk, so how would you even be able to tell?
Well, here's a clue. She's on the prowl, potentially, or this could just be a big coincidence that I'm overthinking. Because in fiction, you don't want to give two characters who are unrelated the same name.
Well, if you come back and there are some folks missing, then perhaps there might be some credence for that.
Just, we might as well tell Tiki Sam that maybe he shouldn't be stocking hatchets at his store anymore, just for, public safety reasons. Look out for anyone suspicious at night. And tell your neighborhood watch if you see anyone acting funny.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we could have ourselves like the setup for like a Town of Salem plot.
Yeah, Warren Spector's Disney's Salem's Lot. I like that idea. Anyway, we restored the bell. I actually want you to keep that side quest in mind.
Okay.
Because it is going to be very important once we get to the end game. There is a complicated sequence break involving that particular side quest. We won't be completing it in that particular scenario, but it's something to keep in mind because it is a tool that is used for one of the largest skips in the game, actually.
I see. A surprise tool that will help us later.
Yes.
I'm guessing this is 100% speedrun logic.
That's just for any percent. Like it was one of the first major sequence breaks, along with the Oztown skip to go straight to Mickey Jug Mountain. That was like some of the stuff that was found not quite day one, but very close to release. And we're also here because we're going to help out with Donald's tugboat.
Of course, question is, how are we going to get the boat from here to there?
That's actually not part of the side quest. All we have to do is fix the boat. I assume there is some sort of wasteland towing company that deals with the logistics. Well, I'm sorry to say, Moody, but the real-life gag factory also closed down a few years ago.
Now, when they say gags, do they mean like jokes and props, or do they mean gags for like kidnapping people?
Oh, I thought you were going to make a joke about gags for BDSM, at which point I could say that's for Pleasure Island, which was one of the few adult-only nightclubs in Disney theme park history. But to answer your question, the gags are more like they're like whoopee cushions and chattering teeth.
We closed it down. We want to be taken seriously as a company. Here's our giant mouse.
This is one of Jim's riddles, which we kind of talked over it, but it was basically, again, a very obvious riddle that boils down to thin out the clock in the main plaza in Mean Street.
Ah, another generic puzzle answer. It's time.
Yes. As we've already established, Jim the Puzzled is aptly named. He's not very smart. Given the way the cartoon logic works around here, the candle may well have actually gone up and walked away. By the way, Horace, you might want to check out this one lady in Ventureland. I have my suspicions.
I doubt that Pete will stop making fun of him.
Well, no wonder Horace's business is in trouble. A private detective who is, not on good terms with the local law enforcement is not going to get a lot of jobs.
That's the plot of every private detective story, though.
Right, like, I think, like, Sherlock Holmes, Scotland Yard couldn't stand him.
Horace's subplot was ghostwritten by Dashiell Hammett. But all of those other fictional detectives, they always have the one friend on the force. The one person who could actually, stand to be in the same room as our protagonist.
Oh, it's a friggin' radio.
But which radio? I wonder.
Oh, I hope it's the radio. It's been asking for it.
Quite literally.
Mickey's back! The call is coming from inside the house! Ah!
Henrietta, have you heard of a long-distance relationship? In one of our side quests, we even fixed the telephone lines around town. You could call Damien. Okay, there are some blatant red flags here. I'm pretty sure this lady's Constance Hatchaway. It's time to take vigilante justice into our own hands.
Woohoo!
That's not gonna last, you know.
Well, I mean, it's neither does a jail sentence. It's not permanent, but it does give her time to think about what she's done. And more importantly, while she's a pile of goo, she cannot hold on to a hatchet.
It's true.
Wait, something a little different, by which you mean a race in a hub area that's incredibly out of character for you. By something different, she means just that you have to do some minor platforming, and it's not all on the ground.
Honestly, if they did manage to have a race where it was entirely like the floor is lava, that would be kind of interesting.
Now I'm thinking of that one Death Wish challenge from A Hat in Time, where it really was the floor is lava.
As in, literally.
Yeah, quite literally, yes. This race can be a bit tricky, especially depending on what platform cycle you get. So don't be afraid to use a watch sketch if you have to. I wonder if any of our viewers are actually playing along. I mean, I've seen like older Let's Plays use that kind of language before, but I thought it was more like an immersive thing as opposed to actually taking this kind of thing seriously. Anyway, the footprints for the missing candle, this is the kind of stuff that I usually edit out. However, I wanted to make a point to belabor how difficult it actually is to sometimes see some of these footprints.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, I didn't even notice that there were supposed to be footprints there.
Yeah, and in order to get the good path, you have to paint in every single footstep. And she did not take the straight path.
Uh-oh. That's a bit of a typo there.
More important than the typo is that Millicent is apparently running some sort of fence for candles only? I don't know, but we also missed a footprint.
50 e-tickets is kind of an expensive candle.
It's worth exact as much as a paint refill in the shop. Okay, so eventually we're going to take down this black market operation, one candle at a time. Maybe one of these days Horace will actually be able to help press charges against Millicent.
I appreciate that you painted the door back in.
But really, actually getting Horace to do something would require him to move from his office. He seems pretty content to let somebody else do the footwork for him.
There seems to be a real problem with NPC mobility in this world.
Right.
Which, when you also consider the lack of handicap access, it's a real problem.
Maybe Epic Mickey 2 has wheelchair ramps.
Alright, that radio. J'accuse.
See, that's the thing. Mickey and Oswald are, they're adventuring together, but Oswald, in between games, was rendered paraplegic in a horrifying accident. And Mickey has to escort him around, and that's how we get all of the wheelchair ramps.
Oh, okay.
See, you can only trust royalty to accommodate for a disaster if it actually affects them personally.
It's true. You got me there.
Yeah, that's the thing. And on that anticlimactic note of turning things over to Jim the Puzzled, that is more or less it. There's like maybe one or two side quests that'll sneak their way into future videos, but from here on out, from video 18 until the end of the Epic Mickey 1 portion, which is until video 22, we're going to be focused more or less entirely on the story.
Well, I'm going to be pretty excited for that because, well, yeah, all this running around is like, it kind of gets a bit rough on you after a while.
Yeah, it's time for some variety, by which I mean playing the game as intended, moving forward with the story. So Oswald mentioned that there is a little thing we have to take care of first regarding, a situation at Mickey Chuck Mountain. And once we've dealt with that, then we can focus on building the rocket, because we got that last piece for the Mad Doctor.
Okay, yeah. And of course, like once we get the rocket fixed, everything will go exactly as planned.
Yes, there definitely were We're at the end of the second act, which, as we all know, is traditionally the high point of the story, where everything's going right.
Smooth sailing from here.
Exactly.